Folks, hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about why the businesses, be they big or small, the cafe on the corner or the coffee shop down the road or a big business, multinational business, why do they cave so readily and so instantly to the globalist funded mob? We look at the tens of millions, tens upon tens of millions given to Antifa and BLM and those sort of folks from big companies. Were they registered charities? Were these donations, incredibly generous as they were, tax deductible? Were they just money stolen from shareholders to fund and subsidise anarchists on the street? I mean, what was it exactly? But it's almost immaterial whether a business be big or small. The activist mob is able to target these businesses with absolute and utter impunity. If anything, the police will protect the mob and their illegal behaviour, which seems staggering. Like it didn't used to be that way. So, and I've seen some examples of it, and it continues to surprise me that the police, what used to be Western police, the impartial police, have now become political police, and their job, their role, their sole function is to protect the agitators of the globalist project. That is now the sole job of the police. Murder or armed robbery, who cares? Their job is to protect BLM and Antifa. So now here's sort of a case here where why do these businesses roll over? Now here's a case where a cafe was underneath the office of a small splinter political party that had no. I mean, I think they had one representative in all the parliaments of the country. Now they'd issued, this political party had issued some press release which was quite innocuous. It was something along the lines of that migration to Australia should focus on people who have actual skills and speak English, and that preference should be given to those people. Now that's hardly a controversial thing, but the globalists don't want it. So the globalists let their dogs off the leash, their attack dogs, and a mob appeared. Obviously, a renter mob. A mob appeared, and the mob gathered outside this political party's office. Now, the cafe was downstairs, and the offices which were above the cafe. This is where the political party was. So, or their office was. So the mob sort of concentrated around where the cafe. Now, they prevented. The mob wasn't particularly discerning. They prevented people just wanting to go for a cup of coffee. They were jostling and hassling patrons who were in the the outdoor al fresco area of the cafe, and were generally causing a nuisance. So that and this was directly harming the small business, a small cafe restaurant that was that just happened to unfortunately be underneath the office of the political party. As far as I'm aware, there was only one person in the political party. It was a small political party, and there's only one person in the office there. But these activists, street activists, wanted to make a point, and the media all turned up, and it was they were presented by the media as being very honourable and people who were there for a good cause. That they weren't protesting someone's legitimate legal right to have an opinion. A political party, no less. Political parties can't have opinions. Who can? They weren't there to protest that. They were there to protest Nazis, fucking fascist Nazis, evil Nazis. That's what they were there for. So they weren't there to break the law or nothing, Now the owners of the cafe, quite reasonably and quite rightly, they asked the protesters to leave, or that the protesters would not hassle their patrons, because their patrons are being threatened, being screamed at, saying you're a Nazi, and so nobody wants that. So the owners of the cafe quite reasonably asked these folks to move along, even offering to bribe them with a cup of coffee if they'd go. No. These people are on an ideological thing to bring Nazis to account. Nazis don't have legal rights, and we're going to get those Nazis. So, and the Nazis, by the way, the crime of the Nazis was suggesting that people should actually have some employable skills and speak English to immigrate to Australia. I mean, wow, that's really Nazi. So the owners of the cafe then called the police, which had every right to do. Their patrons are being threatened, accosted, jostled, hassled, and they have a legal right to freedom of trade, and there are various laws that were being transgressed here. Police couldn't give a fuck. Don't care. So anyway, then the owners of the cafe then called in some folks they knew, and then these people then asked the protesters to either keep out of the way, hassle the political party if you want to, but don't threaten our patrons, which is quite reasonable. Nothing unreasonable in that. And again, the mob refused to, bullhorns and the placards, the whole thing, refused to leave or to move out the way for their patrons. So there started some jostling and pushing and shoving of the people that had come over in support of the cafe. Similarly, some of the patrons that didn't take kindly to being pushed around started to push back. Now, at that stage, the mob, the organisers of the mob, were able to pick up the phone and call in police protection. So the police came in not to protect the patrons, not to protect the business and their legal right to conduct trade. The police were called in to protect the protesters and to stop anyone that may impede the protesters. That was oh, fuck. I mean, you wouldn't read about this seriously. You couldn't make it up. But so the police came in as a special protection for the street mob that was harassing and threatening innocent citizens and people, again, just trying to go about their business and mind their own business. So that's really where we're at now. So when sort of, because people ask me, and I see it posted on online forums and so on, well, why do these businesses cave so easily? Why are these cowards caving to the mob? Why not just tell them to fuck off? Well, this is part of the reason why. That the police aren't there to protect the business. Now let's look at it from the other way. A mob comes along to hassle the patrons of the business or impede their ability to do business, restricting their freedom to trade, which is again against the law. And the owners of the restaurant or the cafe call the police, and the police arrive quickly and disperse the crowd, disperse the mob, disperse the agitators, or get them to stand back X distance or whatever. But to get you do not affect that business. You do what you like out here, but you do not hassle people. You do not threaten people. You do not scream in their face at the Nazis. You do that, you're going to end up in fucking prison. All right, that's how it is. That's the law. Don't like it, then don't come out on the street. Now, if the police responded that way, which by the way would be the appropriate response in my view, then that crowd would disperse pretty quickly. The cost and the aggravation and the risk of doing those sorts of super in your face type activism, it'd just simply be too much, and they wouldn't do it. But instead, the reverse is the case. They're actually getting police protection. So if anyone impedes them, the goons, the thugs, if anyone impedes them or restricts their ability to hurt others, then the police arrive and start issuing warnings and threats. And that's the insanity of the time that we're living in. So the entire body politic, the police force, the legal system, the judiciary is all infected with this pro-globalist crap. So if you shut down an entire city in the interests of global warming, assuming the police even bother to arrest you, that then the judge will give you a slap on the wrist and out you go, and then you can have another day of causing mayhem in the downtown area of the city, again without penalty. You'll be given free legal aid. There'll be lawyers falling over themselves to give you free legal representation and pay all your bills and so on. Now, let's suppose the cafe owner decides that, well, I'm not going to put up with this crap. I'm going to launch a civil suit against the organisers of this riot or this protest, call it what you like, and they carefully document it on video. One of the owners of the cafe tries to video, and they're physically attacked by one of the mob, but the police refuse to arrest the attacker. There, not interested. The person who's attacked then pushes the protester back away from them. Then suddenly the police intervene and threaten the other guy with arrest, and so it goes on. But let's say they gather enough information, video and eyewitnesses and so on. So they're going to launch a civil suit. Now, all the legal fees, and everything to do with it is all going to be paid for by various NGOs and globalist controlled organisations. So it'll be completely cost free for the protesters. Whereas the business launching the civil suit, they have to pay for it all themselves. No one's going to come to their aid. No one's going to come support them. So they managed to get it into court. Then amazingly, a judge who is very, very sympathetic to the protest just magically happens to be selected to hear the case, and says, no, these people have every right to protest, and what's your problem? And you must be a Nazi as well, and so on. So then that person loses the case and has to pay both sides legal fees. So this is why the businesses roll over. Not so much the big businesses; they could afford the big legal stash, but they're going to be attacked from all sides. And most of their management would be. So, well, why are we fighting these people and getting the negative publicity? Why don't we just say we're sorry, give them $1 million, get them out of our face, and then we can go on and do what we want. Put an LGBT flag on our website. Who cares? We don't give a shit one way or another. We just want to sell our product. So that there's that as well. And also, some business owners that I know that say, well, I don't care about this sort of stuff, but it seems really important to them. I don't give a shit one way or another. I don't care whether I put a transgender flag in the front of my shop. It makes no difference to me, but it seems incredibly important to them. So why don't I just give them what they want, and then they can get out of my face? So there's this idea of, if it's important to them, just give it to them, provided it's I don't care, or I've got no position on the matter. But this is effectively conceding the ground to the other side and allowing them to intimidate and threaten and bully you into going along with something you ordinarily wouldn't, or based on your own judgment and conscience, you wouldn't do it. So but as long as they can call on the police to support them and to protect them, the protesters and the agitators, the police are there as their personal protection. I'll do a couple of other ones where you wonder why Christian churches roll over as well. A whole bunch of protesters turn up to say Christians are all Nazis and white supremacists. The normal stuff, fascists, and just the standard stuff that gets spouted, and they can jostle and threaten, worshippers and parishioners and so on. The church calls the police. Police don't give a shit, so nobody comes. But as soon as a group of Christians turns up to stop the agitators from threatening the parishioners, suddenly the police arrive. Suddenly the police have decided that it's the protesters need protection, and these aren't protesters in a sense. They're protesting something material or real. They're ideological protesters, directly threatening and intimidating Christian worshippers. But the police don't care. They won't come along to that. But as soon as there's a group pushes back, and these globalist controlled and funded protesters, as soon as the protesters are possibly going to be threatened or pushed back on, or not allowed to conduct their intimidation, then the police magically appear. So we need to just understand that's how the structure is, and this is why a lot of these businesses just roll over and say, oh, yep, okay, now have what you can have what you want. I don't care. It's almost, I don't know if you've ever sort of seen the screaming child in the grocery store, the supermarket. They want the chocolate bar, and they just scream and writhe and tantrum and kick their legs in the air and make an absolute scene until the adult says, "Oh, fine, have the chocolate bar. Gee, okay, if that'll shut you up, it's only $1. That's it's a cheap price to pay for a bit of peace and quiet." It's the same sort of thing, and people are just rolling over and going, "Yeah, okay, look, have it, it's yours." But the issue is, if the police did their job and arrested the protesters or told them to move back, or you harass anyone or threaten them, you're going to be arrested. Got it? If the police would do their job, then the protest would be ineffective, or they wouldn't happen at all. And the globalists know this, which is why the police have to be a controlled part of the globalist project, because the police are there now to protect the agitators and the goons and the thugs, as they do with climate change, BLM, Antifa, and so on. You've been a Tacitus today. You're a Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.